John Frost looked on the gathered crowd, now 3,000 strong. With heavy heart, his voice rang loud as he sang this loveless song. God is a guide from field, from wave, from plough, from anvil, and from loom. We come our country's rights to save and speak a tyrant faction's doom. We raise the watchword liberty. We will be free. For when the rising tide is turned in every London quarter, Parliament comes crashing down with Robert's Rules of Order. And bobbies took an oath to be our nation's warders, swearing that they would enforce Sir Robert's Rules of Order. To Newport rose a million friends who rallied each supporter to join this flood of working men against Robert's Rules of Order. For when the rising tide is turned in every London quarter, Parliament comes crashing down with Robert's Rules of Order. Like this, on the steps of Parliament, John Frost stood proud and tall. A hush fell on this great event as he told them one and all, depose the gentry and the crown, depose the House of Lords, or join the Queen in exile by Robert's Rules of Order. Socialists, Luddites, Communists, recall each faithful martyr who died so you could have your new world. Robert's Rules of Order. Say it loud, vote your favor, shout it high. All in favor, you say aye. Favor, aye, favor. Aye. A mandate of the people's cry. Favor, aye, favor. Aye. Let's hear the opposition side. Like a stubborn donkey's bray. All opposed, you say nay. Opposed, opposed. The motion carries anyway. Currents change and bring to us our tear-corrupted warder. In chains subdued and ill-abused, he's left with no supporters. Mobility's will can then proceed by our own rules of order, and we'll all cheer for country's sake when Robert's drawn in quarter. For when the rising tide is turned in every London quarter, Parliament shall be reborn with Robert's Rules of Order.
Hey,
the heck was that?
You never noticed that at the end? That woo-ya?
That woo?
That woo-ya's always been there at the end. Yeah, woo-ya! Yes. Yeah. Okay, so we're not going to have this terribly long. There are some souls suffering along with us. I was saying earlier today in some chat group I'm involved in, I'm like, yeah, I'm looking forward to a real degenerate Sunday. I go, I'm taking a bath, I'm having a margarita, then we got parliamentary education. All right.
That's okay.
So I've got...
Hey, look at it this way. That's a lot better than dodging tornadoes, popping a crown off, and a few other things that's happening here. So
you popped a crown off too?
Yeah, this morning at breakfast, I was eating on some bacon. Also, like,
oh, I've had that happen. That's awful.
So I got to call the dentist to put it back on, but they'll let me know tomorrow.
Oh my God!
Didn't hurt enough. It's just like, oh no, you know.
And you dodged a tornado, so you've been having an active week, and I'm sure there was LP stuff going around that made the tornado look like nothing.
Not too much.
Okay, well then you're. I mean, it's kind of been that way with me too. You know me better than most people do, that I've really been reprioritizing my life. Like, yeah. I spend a lot more time with Wayne now, you know, than the LP.
Did your husband?
Well, you might not have known that for a while. I think I was in a throuple with the LP and Wayne.
With or without license.
And the LP was definitely the abusive partner in that relationship. Oh.
Yes, I saw that the other day.
Yes, my thruples one. And of course, I really worry about these people on YouTube. So somebody, of course, goes today, what if a 50-year-old wants to marry an infant? And I just commented and go, I really worry about people like you, that's the thought that comes into your head. Yeah. Like, really get help. Get help if that's the first thought that comes into your head. And what does that have to do with thruples anyway? That if you're going to have that thought, that can happen with couples. Like, dude,
Yes.
seriously, like, get some therapy. All right. So we did.
And I had one
Go
the
ahead.
other day. They were talking about a relationship with a furry, and I'm like, well, just to make sure that they follow the leash laws and they're properly spayed and neutered and have all their shots up to date.
Yes.
That shut them up in a hurry.
There was a YouTube video with a guy who identified as a cat, and the cop said, "Well, I guess we're going to have to take you to the animal shelter because cats aren't allowed to drive cars,
Was
and
it
they
cat
are
food?
going to neuter you, just so you know."
Make sure we have your
Anyway,
rabies and parvo shots.
so we attended another one of those like weekly classes. I thought it was really, really good. I don't remember the name of the presenter because I'm terrible with that. And there were some really
Lucy
interesting.
Anderson.
Lucy, it was Lucy, right?
Lucy Anderson, yes, according
Okay.
to the gig
Yeah,
here.
I'm always bad with that. You know that. Who are you again? Yeah, I'm always bad with names. So I thought there was some really, really interesting, if you're a geek, which we are, at least on this topic, things that were brought up. So the topic was incidental motions, and we all know how much I love the classification of motions. So, why don't you explain to us, Mike, what incidental motions are? I said I was punting that to you.
Yeah, and I'm punting it back. No, incidental motions are motions that have to do with the nature of the proceedings and of in themselves rather than actual business. So, for example, it's a regular motion would deal with business. It'd be like, I moved to go spend X dollars on somebody's flea collar. Or on the other hand, whereas the incidental would say, well, I moved, I made a point of order about that motion to say something screwy about it, or I want to lay it on the table, or things like that, rather than the actual business itself.
But it's about the business of the business, right? So,
Yeah,
yeah,
about the process.
yeah, it's about the process, or it's incidental to something that's happening right then or has already happened. And you want to know how I got the you know how I always say, and I believe you agree with me, that bylaws, and I would say the same thing of special rules of order, are like uh I'm trying to think of the right description to put before the rest of it. But basically they're a record of institutional trauma. When there's a weird bylaw, you should ask yourself why that's in there.
Institutional
Um
trauma.
yeah, oh, I've always said that bylaw is like your archaeological record. If it's a mature organization, you will be able to read. You could just read a bylaw and go, "Oh boy, I wonder what caused this weird ass."
That's a true statement. By the way, I had an archaeological joke, but time ruined it.
That reminds me of Matt Walsh on a show today. Was talking about a lady who identified as a turtle, and he said he's glad she came out of her shell.
Did she snap at him?
Oh God! Listen, you know I don't agree with that guy. I think I comment on him more than anybody, though I've really been going after Michael Knowles lately. But Matt is funny. He's got a really funny, dry sense of humor. His politics suck, but I do find him funny because it's delivered so deadpan, and I love that. Um, so yes, and there can be incidental secondary motions. Is that the way we word it? And incidental main motions.
I thought it was subsidiary. Well, there's definitely incidental main motions. I'm not sure if you would have
Yeah,
incidental subsidiaries or not.
what do they call them? See, we know what it is, but let's look at what they call them. I think it would it be
I know what it is, but
subsidiary?
what the
I
hell is
think
it?
subsidiary is different. Hold on.
It
Now
is.
we got to look this up. See, we're learning with you guys because Mike and I and maybe more so. Secondary. Yeah, they're different. So if you go to page 53. So main motions.
You're making me look.
So in main motions, you got A, original main motions, and B, incidental main motions. And then you've got subsidiary motions, privileged motions, and incidental motions. And those last three are all secondary motions.
Right.
And then you got motions that bring a question again before the assembly.
Which are the oddballs.
Okay.
The people are wondering why I'm looking over there. It's because where Roberts is sitting.
Yes. So when I say an incidental motion has to do with business that's presently happening, that I think everyone understands. But I didn't really understand, and this is where I'm getting back to the institutional trauma. A lot of my parliamentary knowledge comes from my own personal trauma caused by the LP. And I say how I really feel, right? So I learned that about incidental, really, really grokked incidental main motions when it comes to like disciplinary motions. So if you're doing a motion to... I what?
Did what?
I grokked it.
Did you clean up afterwards?
Grok, understood, comprehended, assimilated. So,
grew up.
Dude, am I having to explain grok to you? You're a rocket scientist. You're supposed to be a bigger geek than me. So
yes, I'm aware of what grok is. It stands for giant repository of crap on X.
Anyway,
it's stupid.
Anyway, so I finally grokked the notion of incidental main motion. So a motion to remove somebody is an incidental main motion. What is it incidental to?
Institutional trauma.
Well, besides that, what is it incidental to? It's incidental to the election of that person.
I see your point.
So that's where it finally clicked for me. So one really good thing came out of all of that is that it really like clicked at that moment what far-reaching incidental main motions. A lot of people think of an incidental main motion still as being something that occurred recently or is going to happen in that meeting, moment. But it can go back. An incidental main motion could go back to the election of the person. It's basically rescinding the election. It's not truly, but you get what I'm...
It's the same effect, yeah.
Right.
In that case, yeah.
So... We could go back and forth, but I want to start. I learned something new, and that's usually my my measure for any class that I go to. Whether it's these little units, I don't like saying little units; it makes it sound trivial. But I mean these units we go to that are all over the country.
She said little unit. yeah.
They have a little unit. Are we at least 10 minutes in? Oh my God. Please send us super chats because these shows never get monetized, which I just think it's hilarious that we can make Robert's Rules of Order filthy. But anyway, so
to quote Tom Lehrer, when properly viewed, everything is lewd.
Yes. The thing both you and I learned is that you can reserve a point of order.
Yeah, that was something I had no idea about. And I kind of was like going, what?
But it's not automatic. So I want to read. So I'm at 23.5. It says, because it's talking about the timeliness of a point of order. Because unless it's something that's a continuing breach of the bylaws, there's some other examples, but that's the most common one. 90-something% of the time, when you raise a point of order, it's got to be very timely. So what if you're not sure? you think a breach is occurring, but maybe if this person you don't like, who's at the mic, who's always like breaching order, keeps gabbing on a little bit more, maybe they're going to justify it and bring it around and it won't be a breach. But you want to
We
make
know
sure.
some of those people.
Yes. I'm really just going through institutional trauma today. So if you're not sure, but you don't want to potentially risk timeliness. So at 23.5, it says, if a member is unsure of his point or wishes to hear what the maker has to say on behalf of the motion before pressing a point of order, he may, with the chair's sufferance, meaning the chair could say, you either make your point of order now, you either poop or get off the pot, but whatever, that he may reserve a point of order against the motion, but after the maker has spoken, he must insist upon his point of order or withdraw it. They didn't say that at the meeting. So when you reserve it, you have to withdraw it.
You know why they call it the sufferance of the chair? Because they're going to go scrambling to this. Because they're going to be suffering while they try to find this specific spot in Roberts to figure out what the hell's going on. Because the chair is going to be like, what do you mean you want to reserve a point of order? What are you talking about, Wills?
I would have said the same thing. I never heard of that, but they didn't mention this in the meeting. Reserving it is almost like making it. You're kind of making it. It's like the Princess Bride where you're almost dead. You have to withdraw it. If after the maker has spoken, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's an order. Now, there's something else, the next sentence I wanted to bring up. I didn't plan on it, but why not? Points of order regarding the conduct of a vote must be raised immediately following the announcement of the voting result. I'm not just talking about last convention. Everyone knows last convention, people were saying such and such and such. They say that after every convention, by the way. In fact, I said that. Let's go back even further. Was it the 2018 convention where there was an at-large vote that wasn't announced until after the convention? I'm not talking about the one where you mistakenly... I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about one when Alicia was still secretary. So I was elected in 2018. So Alicia was still secretary. We're not talking about the 2021. I never would rag on you about that. No, we're talking about 2018.
Although I deserve ragging for that. But anyway.
No, it's an honest mistake. In 2018, and I'm not ragging on Alicia either. I'm actually ragging on myself. The convention, we were running overtime, big surprise. And the at-large results were not announced until afterwards. And Alicia actually won by one vote. And I was like, oof, and I insisted on an audit. Now, and we didn't elect a JC that time either. So even if there was some kind of dispute, we wouldn't have.
That's right. I wasn't on the floor that day because I was dealing with a health issue.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a nuance. Yeah.
Now, just to clear Alicia's name here, not as secretary, just as winning or not winning that election. After the audit, she actually did win by more than one vote. But that's one of the circumstances, though. It would have been too late. Let's say the audit revealed that she didn't actually win that election. It wouldn't have mattered. Alicia has in past audits found on one round that Nick didn't win a round that he was announced the winner on. He was going to win the election eventually anyway, but on that specific round, he wouldn't have. So that's also something to consider.
Well, in this specific case, because the convention adjourned sine die, and the bylaws say when they take office is at the conclusion of the convention, whether they're elected and until their successors are elected. At that point, the bylaw would trump anyway.
Right. So, but what I'm just trying to tell people, and this isn't just for the LP, it's any organization, politically, probably any political organization. People are going to make all kinds of allegations about the voting.
Yeah.
There are some which are continuing breaches of the bylaws, but most of them are not. And, it's too late. It's too
There's
late.
something
You should
interesting
have
here, though.
raised it on the convention floor. But this is also a word to the wise. If you're at a convention and you doubt, you can demand certain things to make sure that the election was conducted properly. But I just
Yeah.
wanted to kind of raise that as a side point.
The first one of those is make sure I'm your teller, so everything is run clean. But anyway, so an interesting note here about that what you just cited in 23.5. It talks about reserving the point of order, but it doesn't indicate that the person doing that reserving has to indicate what the point of order that he's reserving actually is. It just
One
says
second.
it just says that they would reserve a point of order against the motion, and then it was insist upon or withdraw it afterwards. It doesn't mention that they have to indicate what their point of order is when they reserve it or not.
I might ask this on the forum. I've been participating a little bit on the
Yeah,
forum.
I've noticed.
So that's oh my God, did you see on the forum that group that had a quorum of people that weren't part of the board? So they have a
Yeah.
board of 14, but their
Uh,
quorum was 30.
yeah, I saw that. I'm like, what the heck?
And Gary's last comment was he's like, okay, I'm withdrawing my opinion to no opinion because in order for me to express an opinion on these bylaws would require me to have a certificate in absurdity, which I do not yet obtain, which I have not yet obtained.
Yeah.
The examples from that thread are definitely going into the presentation I'm working on, which I've given before, but I keep building upon it. Which
I got to
is
go back and reread some of that.
Yeah. So that presentation is when bad bylaws happen to good people. It's a presentation I keep building on, but those are, oh my God. That was fun. I thought that thread was really fun. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to bring that up probably. If I don't,
Yeah,
you should.
because it doesn't say one way or the other.
Yeah. I'd like to know. So if I don't bring it up, because I might forget, bring it up.
But I may take a look tomorrow. Yeah, because tomorrow I don't know what I'm doing. I might be at the office part of the day. I might be in a dentist chair. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah,
So.
no, you're going to be at the dentist. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. Uh-oh, people are now going to say we're married again, which we are to other people.
I left a message for the dentist, and they're going to call me back, and we'll see what they can fit me in. I mean, that's just that. That's what I know. See how they can fit me in. That's what she said. But still, that's not the point.
I was going to say.
What their schedule has.
Look, I don't know my little things anymore. Where's my that's what she said?
That's what she said.
I got bunchy. I got dilatory. I've got
unauthorized recording.
I've got that one. But where's that's what she said?
Don't just push one of the buttons. You'll find it. There it is.
Okay. All right. So
anyway.
I did my reserve a point of order. Do you have something? Yeah. I'm now passing the baton to. I'm hitting. You watch that YouTube video, I'm hitting you over the head with the baton.
Where you need that sound effect that goes. Bow. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a boing one.
Yeah. But we're talking about when debate on a point of order, the idea of the chair speaking first and last, that threw me off too.
Yeah. Okay. I have always said, and I've said it in LNC meetings, I've said it when I've been convention parliamentarian, that if an appeal from a point of order is raised, or is taken, that's the right way. Everyone words those wrong. I appeal the ruling. You appeal from the ruling of the chair. I know I'm being picky, but it's just one of my pet peeves. So when an appeal is taken from a ruling of the chair, I've always said the chair can speak first and last, and everyone else can speak once in the middle.
And that's actually directly straight out of Roberts.
Yeah, that it isn't though.
For appeal?
Well, not the way I just said it. So we heard tonight that yes, the chair can speak twice. One of those 2 times is last. But the other time doesn't have to be first. And I always thought if they were going to speak twice, they needed to speak first and last. That if they didn't speak first, then they could only speak last. And I was corrected on that.
Oh, it's right here. It's right here. He is entitled to preference over other members.
What thing are you on?
That's
23.9?
24.3 standard characteristic 5.
24. Oh, I didn't do SDCs. I went to a different thing. Hold on.
This is about talk about the appeal aspect there.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I was looking at a different section, so let me look at this. No, this says the same thing.
Now the preference over others, which means
right. It doesn't. Yeah, but it doesn't mean it's first. So let's say the person who appeals from the ruling, the chair chooses not to speak first, lets that person speak, and someone else gets up to speak. The chair can jump ahead of that other person. They don't have to speak first. During the whole period of time up to the last speech, the chair is entitled to jump ahead,
jump the line,
to preference.
Okay.
I never read it that way. I think this
could be fair, I didn't either.
Right. It's very subtle. And I was getting ready to fight over this. But then once I read it, I'm like, no, I think they're right. This needs to be worded better. And what I said in chat, something I said in chat, which you might not have caught, this confusion is very widespread. Very widespread. So when something is that widespread, it doesn't mean that the original text is unclear, but it's a good indication that the original text is probably unclear.
Right.
I think the makers of Roberts need to go back and clarify that. This has to be one of the most widespread. Maybe I'm going to do a presentation. I'm going to start a document on widespread misunderstandings, because this is one I had. It's one you've had. It's one everybody I know has had.
Yeah. Maybe that's a forum question to bring up so that Hanuman will see it and do something about it.
And Joe Hanush, thank you for attending. Joe says, I'm gonna punt this to Mike. I know the answer, but I'm gonna punt it to Mike anyway. Is appealing the ruling of the chair debatable?
Most of the time.
Explain yourself, Lucy.
There are times when the ruling of the chair the appeal is undebatable, but it's only specifically if it applies to a question that the chair ruled on that was undebatable.
Right. So if the underlying question was undebatable, the appeal is undebatable.
Correct. And in contrast, if the underlying is debatable, then the appeal would be debatable as well. It kind of carries with it.
And here's the quick and fast tip. Most of the time it's debatable. If you say most of the time, you're going to be wrong some of the time, but most of the time it's right.
And they go through a pretty heavy and 24.3 standard characteristic 2B.
Joe asked a good follow-up question. Joe, I'm going to say, so this is, an after hours, not safe for work show. So I can see your profile picture better now, but the way it looks at first glance is that you have your shirt tied in a little knot, like a crop top.
I can't see that on the screen here because I have the eyeball with the 120 for the ECAM blocking it.
It looks like he's got a little belly shirt on. But anyway, Joe asked, do members have to switch favor and against during discussion? I'm going to punt this to Mike too.
It's chair's discretion. I would encourage it if I'm in that position because it does promote the good debate back and forth, but there's no requirement for it. So
I think it's highly suggested in Roberts. Let's see if we can find that. This isn't something we were prepared for. And I don't even know what it would. I don't have my Kindle version here where I could do a word search. Let me look at, it's probably under debate. Let me look and see if it's for and against, or what would it be?
definitely not an appeal. I can tell you that already.
No, just I think it's regular debate. And I'm not finding anything. We might need to look this up at a different time.
Yeah, let me do a little search.
If you do a word search for maybe alternating between opposite sides in. Okay, so 333-3, subsection 3, and 4293. Okay, so let's look this up. 333.
Working. As soon as I get there. Okay, there it is. Got it. And you said which sub for that?
You want to read 333 subsection 3?
Subsection 3. Okay, thank you. In cases where the chair knows that persons seeking the floor have opposite opinions on the question and the member to be recognized is not determined by subs 1 or 2, which is above that, the chair lets the floor alternate as far as possible between those favoring and those opposing. To accomplish this, the chair may say, for example, since the last speaker spoke in favor of the motion, who wishes to speak in opposition to the motion? Or since the last person a speaker opposed the motion, who wishes to speak in its favor?
So it's more than strongly suggesting. It's saying that's the way you should do it.
As much as you can, yeah.
As much as you can. And the 1 and 2 before is speaking of people who have certain preferences to be recognized ahead of other people in debate. We don't need to get into the specifics, but so It's saying all things being equal.
As much as you can.
As much as you can, you should try to alternate.
Right. And for those of you wondering, I have a second screen off to my left over here, which has a searchable PDF version of Roberts up on it.
Well, I have the Kindle, and Joe thinks he made my crop top comment better, but he actually just made it very much weirder. He said, definitely not a crop top. He's holding petition clipboards in one hand and a chicken in the other.
Why a chicken?
Yes.
Dare I ask?
I'm very confused by the chicken. I understand the petition's clipboard. I felt your pain immediately with that. And then you said, you're holding a chicken. That is bizarre. I think unless it's
about backyard chicken.
Yes, I think the crop top would have been far more explainable since you are from Florida and it looks like you're on a beach area and your picture than holding a chicken.
Well, that was just so 80s for a guy to wear a crop top.
But I know Joe's from Florida, and that definitely looks like a beach location in the background.
You stumped the parliamentarian, Joe. What do you win?
Well, we didn't know for sure. That wasn't stumping us. We don't listen. How old are you, Mike? If you want to tell me, don't ask me how old I am. You're a guy I can ask you. Yeah, how old are you?
Now I'm actually playing with a full deck. I'm 52.
Okay, so you're younger than I am, but we're over 50. So you didn't stump us. We're just fucking old. Like we don't have this whole book memorized. Oh, no, he said he had a chicken in the other hand because he was proselytizing backyard chickens.
That was a good guess. Okay.
Okay, now here I haven't looked it up. Now I might stump you. We definitely aren't getting to the questions I've queued up, which we'll have them for next time, because I try to keep these shows a little bit shorter.
We're just free flowing it.
Yes. Okay. Here's where I disagreed, but I didn't want to hog the floor. I didn't want to raise my hand or whatever. The presenter had talked about a situation which we can all relate to, where debate was droning on. And people were repeating the same points. And a member was curious if this could be ended and could we put everybody out of their misery in some way.
Call the freaking question.
Well, she said someone could, but they didn't know they could do that. So the answer was they could raise a point of parliamentary inquiry to ask if there was a way they can do that. And she said after gaining recognition, the member could raise a point of parliamentary inquiry. But then she said they could also just shout out parliamentary inquiry. I don't think that's correct. I know parliamentary inquiries do get precedence, like a point of order, when they are urgent. But that is so rare. Is the fact that people are repeating themselves urgent? I think they have to wait their turn in line. I don't think they can shout parliamentary inquiry from their own chair.
You're right. Here it is. Standard descriptive characteristic 33.2, number 3. All are in order when another has the floor if they require immediate attention. And that's for all the requests and inquiries, including parliamentary request for information, permission to withdraw a motion, et cetera, and so on.
What SDC?
That's number 3.
Yeah. So I guess it is subjective that requires immediate attention, but I can tell you, I would think that would be, I think the ones that are urgent are so rare that I don't think I have ever personally encountered one yet.
Me neither.
And I certainly don't think the fact that you're getting annoyed because that people are droning on, because one of two things are happening. Either this is happening in a small meeting, which means that you're going to be recognized real soon anyway, so you don't have to jump ahead of people. Or it's happening in a large convention in which there are people who already know that they can call the question.
Interruption is a comment. Joe, don't apologize. We like get these questions. Okay, you're all good.
Oh yeah, no, we love the interaction. Okay, so you agree with me. Good, I was going to challenge her on that, but then I was like, I had already been a pain in the ass twice.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is that if there was like an urgent one, like for example, if say, for example, I do my wonderful objection to consideration of the question, which requires an immediate vote. All of a sudden, they're like, parliamentary inquiry. What in the hell are you talking about? That would be urgent.
Or they let people start debating, but that would also be a point of order too. Right. I think those two things kind of overlap in some ways. We'll have to think of some. Are you drinking milk?
Yes, I am drinking milk.
Oh my God, I am so traumatized.
Why?
Okay. You're going to make me tell the story. Okay. When I was a brand new libertarian, I thought you guys, and I'm saying you guys because you've been a libertarian much longer than me. I thought that you guys were a bunch of freaking degenerates, and I mean that in the best possible way. I do.
Well, you're right.
I mean that. So, I was brand new.
It's not wrong, folks.
And there was something, this wasn't Freedom Fest. It was some other conference that isn't held anymore. It's like a Freedom Symposium or something. It was in Nevada. Nevada was sponsoring it. The LP of Nevada was in Las Vegas. Lily had an extra ticket and had a room with 2 queen beds because I couldn't afford to go at the time. So she invited me. She's like, just pay for your own food and stuff, and I've got a ticket in a room. And I'm thinking to myself, I'd only been a libertarian. I don't even think I had pink hair yet. Okay, so this was even before my first LP convention because, no, I didn't have pink hair at the first. So anyway, it's about less than 6 months, maybe 7 months. Crap, what was the name?
Interjection, though, real fast. Isn't Lily just a wonderful person?
Yes. So, no, Lily's wonderful. Anyway. So I'm saying to Wayne, I'm going to Vegas for this conference of libertarians. I am envisioning like bacchanalias, okay? Literally. These fuckers went to bed before 10 o'clock. I'm alone
Yeah.
at the blackjack table, okay, till like 2 a.m. But I'm playing the slots with
Were you
Lily.
winning?
I don't remember. I think I won a little bit, but probably not. And the barmaid comes by, and of course I get my margarita. Lily orders a milk. A milk. I am traumatized for life over that. I came home and I said that Las Vegas libertarians, none of them got stinking drunk. I brought, because California had their convention in conjunction with it. It's the first time I met Aaron Starr, first time I met Alicia. Anyway, I was bringing drinks into the convention hall. No one else was. And the one time, like, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be partying with Lily. She orders milk.
See, okay, St. Louis 2010. Okay, I'm there and as part of I'm the California delegation whip. Okay, which means I have to herd 120 cats. Okay, well, night before they've got sweet parties going on, and anybody who's been to an LP convention knows that when you go to a sweet party, that's where all the drinking happens. Okay?
Oh, I thought you meant sweet,
well,
like candy.
No, hotel suites. But anyway, so some of us were all busy hopping around, hitting the various sweet parties, drinking all the booze, and I'm sitting there. And about 10 p.m., I hijacked Wes Benedict because he was like dying and needed food. We took a cab down near Busch Stadium and got White Castle. He had never had White Castle before. So I bought the dinner, he bought the cab, and he's like, oh, this helps so much. This tastes really good. We get back there, and the next morning, I'm bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, even though I had about 8 beers the night before. And other people in the California guys are all like dying, and they're like, how are you so bright-eyed? Because they had no idea how.
But let me tell you,
So,
like, I wish
we drinking the parties at the conventions, not on the floor.
Okay, like, I'm as degenerate as most people think libertarians are, but in general, libertarians tend to be the most square people I've met in my freaking life, and I will never, ever get over that milk. Lily, if you are watching this, you have traumatized me for life by ordering milk in Vegas from the barmaid.
Well,
That
can I actually alleviate the trauma a little bit?
okay,
It's raw milk.
maybe.
It's raw
What?
milk. It's raw milk, not pasteurized.
Well, no, I think it was whatever Las Vegas had. So I don't even
That was
think.
probably pasteurized. I'm saying this is
Yes.
raw milk.
Oh, okay. So yours is kind of okay.
Yeah,
No,
comes straight from the cow.
I did have pink hair. Because I have a picture.
Went back and found a photo.
I did. Because I'm trying to. I'm trying. This was in 2015, June 2015, and that my first LP convention was in May.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you all the picture. Of course I am. So hold on one second here. Here's me and Lily. I don't think you can see on the. Hold on. I'm going to put this up. Well, hold on. I need to start a new scene. It's just me right now. I understand that.
That's okay. I'm still here.
Here we go. Do you see it?
There we go.
Yep. So
Yeah.
there's me and Lily. So I did have pink hair. So I had pink hair as early as June 2015. I didn't think I had that yet. I became an anarchist July of 2015. Anyway, there's me and Lily.
When did we have our knockdown drag out at the Colorado Springs massacre? That was before this, wasn't it?
No. So
Later?
no, so June either April or May 2015 was my first LP, because I became a libertarian in 2014. September. Okay. April or May was in Aurora, the convention. I remember arguing with the lady who was wanting a petition signed to allow assisted suicide in Colorado. I was such a moderate at that time. I would not sign the petition. I remember arguing with Not Frank Atwood. Oh my God, I'm forgetting his name. I feel so bad. The other approval voting guy. Oh my God, I'm such good friends with him.
I know who you mean, but I forget his name too.
Blake, right? Blake.
Blake Huber?
Yes, Blake Huber. I remember
Okay.
arguing with him. So Wayne wasn't even, he says he's been a libertarian forever. I know he's listening and now he's going to get mad. No, he wasn't. He was a registered Republican. His name badge even said non-member on it, so he couldn't vote or anything. Yes. So no, I wasn't in any party position because I insisted on waiting a year. I became communications director at the convention in 2016. I don't know where the 2016 convention was. I think the Colorado Springs Massacre was 2017.
Something in there, yeah.
And that was in Colorado Springs. Yes.
Right. That was on the Springs.
But you actually ended up
those earlier ones or not.
You ended up agreeing with me. But this is I love reminding people of this. You and I were not friends then.
No, we were like two big orange sheep button heads.
Yeah. Yeah, you yelled at me. You got up and yelled at me. I wish we had a video of that. Oh my God, that was such a great convention. Anyway,
play that to all of our haters, just to say.
There probably is. You want to know who probably still has the video of that? Is
probably Oric.
Microphony. No, Oric was the parliamentarian who we needed smelling salts for when Nathan Graybow tried to suspend the bylaws.
For the bylaws, yeah. Everybody went nuts on that. I
didn't know any better. You would have known any better.
Joe says Lily won the Spike versus Hog 2-way debate. No, one is not an understatement. Demolished him is the correct statement.
She massacred him.
That was absolutely beautiful.
Yes. Okay, so did you have anything else you wanted to bring up? Otherwise, there was 2 citations I wrote down, and I don't even remember what they were.
That was what I had. So what's the citations?
1411. I think this is the one about skipping like whole classes of business, where you. Oh yeah, I know that
was a big discussion there.
Yeah, but it brought up. I don't like calling it a parliamentary trick, because I've gone full circle, and I think maybe you have too. Let's have a moment of introspection and honesty here. I got into parliamentary, and I think you did too. We both got into Roberts because we saw its abuse.
Yes.
And we saw where
we were victims of its abuse.
Yes, but at different times. I think you earlier than me, because again, we didn't get close till relatively. I mean, you've been in the party much longer than me. A lot of people don't realize that. And then I think, at least for me, you can say whether it's true for you. Once I started to get a bit of the knowledge, I'm not going to say I got abusive myself, but I think I forgot my roots. I think I forgot why I got into it in the first place. And I started to get fascinated by certain tricks you could do to get one over on people.
See, I didn't get into that per se, but I
think I did, if I want to be brutally honest with myself. And I've now gone back to my roots. There's an example I'd like to give, but it just gets into current controversies, which I don't want to get into. Maybe next year we can talk about it. But this is one of those things where I'm concerned, is it a trick that we should be opposed to? So, 1411 says, it's not in order through a subsidiary motion or a main motion to postpone a class of business composed of several items or subjects. So let's, for LP purposes, say the regional reports, something relatively uncontroversial. You can't, through a subsidiary motion or a main motion, postpone all of the regional reports.
Right.
But each report can be postponed separately as it is announced or called for. Okay.
One at a time.
You also cannot lay on the table a group of motions.
Right.
But I'm not so sure they had it right in the meeting. So say you had something you wanted to get to later in the meeting and there was like 10 items before it, you can move to suspend the rules, which requires a 2/3 vote to hear that one item right then, but you couldn't do a motion to. So what they were dealing with was general orders, which we don't really use in the LP. So let's just use categories we use in the LP. You couldn't make one motion to suspend all of the regional reports in order to get to the standing committee reports. You would have to do one at a time. But you could do a motion to take up the Convention Oversight Committee report right now. And then you would move back to the regional reports.
Here's the kicker, though. Okay. If you want to walk through each one of those and make a motion to lay it on the table for each individual report,
right?
Each one of those is a majority to pass,
right?
And then
that is that a trick?
The rules to jump the line is a 2/3,
right?
That's the
so
trick.
If that's the trick, if you don't have the 2/3 vote, but you know you have the majority,
you can piecemeal.
You can individually, if again using the same example, go through 8 regional reports and move to lay each one on the table. Now, as a chair, now in the example given in the meeting, we'll get back to that. Forget about that example for 1 second. As a chair, I think you should call it out of order as an abuse because lay on the table, which now I forgot the example, I've only seen used legitimately one time. Lay on the table is only supposed to be used if there's an actual emergency or urgent situation that means you need to consider something else before you consider the thing that's laid on the table. You're not supposed to.
There is one other case where you could do it.
What's that?
And that is that I had this happen in California. We had a motion regarding a convention venue, but we were waiting on a piece of information that we needed to make the decision.
That's urgent.
But the motion had come up at the time, so we laid it on the table pending get the other piece of information.
Yeah, but that's urgent though. That wasn't because you were just trying to delay it. That's legitimate.
No, we had to delay it till we got that piece of info.
Right. That's legitimate. I think it would be illegitimate if you knew you didn't have the 2/3. You wanted to get to this other piece of business, not because it was urgent, just because for whatever reason you wanted to please your constituency.
You had a plane to catch.
Yeah, you personally were going to leave.
Yeah.
That's not urgent because you individually, even though the body would still have quorum. So that I think would be a trick and would be illegitimate, and you'd only need a 50% vote. So that was the other reference, which was 714, which talked about the majority for lay on the table. And I wanted to bring this up like on the Roberts Forum, but I'm not going to do it till I'm off the LNC because this is just a general concern. It isn't about anyone in specific or any situation in specific, but there's a couple examples I can think of like tricks that I'm now getting of that are before I used to have the view that, it's dirty, but it's allowed. Yeah. I'm now coming to the view that chairs should rule things out of order if they're dirty. Because I don't think the rules are there to abuse people.
Okay, never mind. I'm scrolling through the Roberts here looking for something while you're talking.
Yeah.
It's being a pain in the behind.
And I'm not trying to attack anybody or any specific situation. It's an evolution, a personal evolution that I'm going through.
Yeah. Okay, anyway. No, I can
I don't
understand
even
why
want
you
to
say
call
that.
it an evolution. I'm like going back to my roots, you know?
Yeah.
Because I think when you first start to learn, Roberts, you get a bit full of yourself and you get all like, I know this and I know that. And some
Then
people
you
never
discover
get
you don't.
out of that stage. But I'm now
Yeah.
going back to remembering not knowing
Yes.
anything.
We know a few people who were like that, and
Yeah,
they
and
truly
but
did
I'm
not
really
know what the
not
hell they
trying
were doing.
to like attack anyone, but I think we need to remember it.
No,
And it was in the beginning of
I'm not
like there's
naming
this,
names.
yeah, there's this little pamphlet called Every Meeting Needs a Great Secretary. I was just reviewing it actually for a client because I actually have a non-political client right now. I am
Yay!
the parliamentarian for an arts foundation. It's enjoyable. It's not political work at all. And I was helping them with their minutes and referred them to this resource from the National Association of Parliamentarians. But there's a little blurb in the front that I might tweet out that talked about how the rules are not, like I've often said, we don't serve the rules serve us. And there was a quote from General Roberts in the beginning of that. So I don't know. I'm starting to feel really icky about maneuvers that are legal but abusive.
I can understand why you say that.
Yeah, I mean that's where
Yeah,
I started.
yeah. That's how I started too.
Yeah.
It's like okay, they're using it as a cudgel, and we got to figure out how to counteract that. Is what it
Yeah.
started with.
Oh, and this brings up one other thing, and unless you come up with something else, we'll probably end on this because we'll be coming up on an hour, which to me is the ideal
Yeah,
long end. They brought up points of order this evening,
it did.
and God, this is my pet peeve, and I know it's one of yours. Points of order are only to be raised when you think there was an actual violation of the rules.
Uh,
Not that you
yep.
don't like the result. Even if you know you have the votes. Anyone
Right.
who's a fan of Hamilton, there's the cabinet battle. Have you listened to the musical Hamilton? You don't have
No.
the votes. It's wonderful. Even if you know you have the votes, you should not unethically raise a point of order to overturn an indisputably correct ruling of the chair. And that
Yeah.
happened so many times that Alicia used to lose her mind over that, and she was right.
Yeah. Because if there's a point of order is supposed to be for hey, there is a violation of our rules or our bylaws going on here.
And
Not
you
I
have
don't
to
like the way
really
this happened.
believe that. You have to
Yeah.
legitimately believe that in your soul, you
And
know?
there are so many when we see this all the time in conventions. There are so many people who don't understand or deliberately abuse the differences between a point of order, a point of information, a parliamentary inquiry, just to name those three, to the point where it's like, shut up, you don't know what you're asking. Go read Roberts and get back to us when you understand it. Even though we can't say that publicly, I can guarantee you I've been thinking it at times, and I bet you have too.
I'm going to say something really controversial here. And I could say for the
Oh,
LP, but I think it would be
when is
true.
that? When has that ever stopped you?
I think this would be true for any organization, but I only really know the LP very well. If the person who is currently the chair is rerunning for chair, I don't
Yes.
think they should chair the convention. Because they're going to make rulings that they think are popular that
There's an
might not
argument there.
necessarily be correct.
Uh-huh. And when they factor in that they don't understand what they're doing in parliamentary procedure, that just compounds it.
And they might not, it might not even be conscious. I'm not alleging any malfeasance. I think it's just human nature. So
Yeah.
if you have a chair that's rerunning, I think you need to hire a professional presiding officer. And not just for the LP, any other organization. Otherwise, human nature is to make political decisions to get reelected. You don't want to make an unpopular ruling. And if you do, you will be very tempted, as you and I have seen at multiple conventions. So this isn't against any person, where they'll invite someone to appeal, knowing that they'll be overturned, but also knowing that their ruling was indisputably correct.
Yep. And we've seen also a case where that happened, where the presiding officer didn't want to rule on it and punted it out anyway.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm talking about.
I might not, because I've actually can think of multiple situations in which that happened. I'm starting
this
to
one,
come.
This one, I know you know what it was, because it directly
probably,
involved
but
you.
Oh yeah, well,
yeah, that one.
Yes, but I actually think he did the right thing there.
I think he did too.
Yeah, I think he did the right thing there. Yeah, he ruled it out of order. No, he didn't punt it. He ruled it out of order and wanted an appeal. I do think that he wanted to rule it in order, but I don't think it was. This isn't a person who was running for chair, so I don't think it was a political decision.
He was shoved into it.
Right. I think this was a decision to make it indisputable. So this particular person ruled it out of order, so knowing that there would be an appeal, so that it would eventually go to the assembly. I'm not so sure this person knew he could punt it. And I don't like that word, because I don't think this person knew that he could say, I believe this is best determined by the assembly, and immediately put it to a vote, which probably would have been the best way to handle. But I don't think this person knew they could do that.
He might not have, but but what he did had the same effect.
It did, but this isn't somebody running for chair. No personal motivations at all. Yeah, now I know. But I was actually thinking of other situations.
By accident.
Yeah, I was actually thinking of other situations, because this happens a lot. It's just human nature. I think the value of hiring for conventions a professional presiding officer is underrated.
Yeah, because the advantage of it, especially if they're from outside the organization, is that they will be as impartial as you can possibly get.
Yeah.
And that is the biggest plus, because they're not going to be influenced by that whole idea of, I want to stay in this position if they're running for re-election.
Right.
Because they're not. They're there to do a job and they get the hell out.
It's human nature. You don't even have to say anyone has any bad motives. It's human nature.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the Gidget fact. It's the Gidget factor. You want people to like you.
And Richard Brown hasn't been here, so we can talk shit about him. Is there any shit we want to talk about Richard Brown now that he's...
Oh.
He usually comes to these. But anyway, he had some really good comments this evening, but I think we're done. Hopefully, I'll be testing out a new camera. And for those of you who are going, Mike's so blurry, and I know, okay, now I'm going to make we're friends enough that I can make a deprecating comment. Mike's going, you like it that way. I'm better. I'm better with the blur filter.
I am better with the blurred photo. I got a face made for Morse code.
If my Canon camera works out, I already promised Mike that I am mailing him this Logitech that I'm using right now. But I don't know if this Canon mirrorless I have is going to work out or not. We shall see.
Keep in mind, this camera right here is actually my webcam. The webcam built into the laptop.
Yeah,
so
no, this is an external
the lighting
one.
Behind me is just from a ceiling fan.
Oh, see, I can mail you some lighting too. Actually, you know all the shit I've got.
I don't have a place to put it in here.
All right, I think that's it for tonight. Do you have anything else to add? We've done it just an hour and 3 minutes.
Yeah, just the rumors of our demise because of the EF2 tornado yesterday are greatly demised. They didn't touch us, so we're good.
That is awesome. All right, however, everyone.
It was a little hairy yesterday all around.
Oh, the margarita made me burp. All right. So that's going to be it for this
Did you find your
evening.
salt shaker?
There's no salt on this one, no, but it is empty. Wayne, I think I've got a hole in the bottom of this glass.
The triple glass.
Wait, what glass is this from? Left Hand Brewing Company, Longmont, Colorado. No idea where I got this from, but
It probably appeared somewhere.
all right. That's it for this evening. Coming up next week, what am I talking about? Oh, you'll like this. On Pink Flame of Liberty. The fallacious use of the alleged fallacy of the no true Scotsman.
You better restate that.
I think you can fallaciously use a fallacy.
Okay, you better spell that.
But I am so tired of people who are frickin' MAGA. And there's nothing, okay, I am tired of people who are MAGA, but this isn't really what this is about. I'm tired of people who are unquestionably MAGA. Okay, fly your freak flag, do what you want. Who get upset when I say they're not libertarian, and then they go, no true Scotsman. That is not the way that fallacy is used, my dude. So I'm going to be doing a show on that. That will be fun.
With or without kilts.
I should get a kilt. I think I have a kilt, but I think it's one of those like little. Never mind. Don't want. We will leave it at that. Let your imagination run wild. Yeah, It's about as short. All right, everyone. That's going to be it. I'm going to be disconnecting you, Mike, once we start the closing music, and I'll talk to you soon. All right, bye-bye.
Viva! Let's hear the opposition side. Like a stubborn donkey's bray, all opposed. You say nay, opposed! Opposed! The motion carries anyway.